Hi everyone, my name is PK, and here I have Zac Welsh, who is a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. Zac lives in Perth, on the southern side of Perth and that sort of broader Rockingham area. But more importantly, he's bought two properties, two investment properties, that is, in Queensland in the last year. Both of them have been affordable properties. So the first one was about $515,000. He got it off market, and it's just been, rising at a really, really rapid clip. And the most recent one he just got a few months ago now actually was actually under 400K, $398,888. And this one
Mm.
also has a lot of renovation potential. We're gonna get into renovation because that's really Zach's forte, like what part of the houses he's renovating, what's he doing, how much it's costing, how much equity upside he's gonna get. So if you enjoy renovating, adding value, this episode will bring you a lot of value. He's bought both of these properties in a trust, so I'm asking questions about how he's borrowing, getting the lending, how he's preserving his borrowing capacity. The recent one has zero vacancy, so we'll get into his brain around how he's picked these deals, why he's picked these deals, what his plans are for the future. And he's a FIFO worker, so he's when he's working, he doesn't exactly have a lot of time or maybe energy after working. So I'll go into like how he actually did all this DIY and a whole bunch of other things.
Welcome to the Oz Property Investment Mastery Podcast. My name's PK and I help busy people build passive income by buying top 5% growth and cash flow property and build a portfolio using data without wasting months doing research, spending weekends at inspection or catching flights, or dropping $10,000 to $20,000 on buyer's agents every single time. So if you're confused, lack confidence, and just overwhelmed with all the information and marketing misinformation available online and don't know where to start, then this show is for you.
Zach, big congratulations. You've really kicked a really couple of really good goals, and I'm sure there's many more to come. So yeah, from my behalf at least, yeah, well done.
Yeah, thank you, PK, and yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, look, it's been awesome. Like your course, and thank you so much for everything. You have changed our lives a lot. Um, yeah, our investment journey is one that's been going on for a little while now. We started the course probably about 12 months ago. We've signed up with you, but before that, we've had a couple of homes in WA that we've renovated. We actually flipped one of them, and then purchased our current PPOR, and then we with the intentions of renovating that one, which we have done, drawing the equity out, debt recycling basically to then purchase the two properties we have through the course. So pretty much, and the reason we sort of started your course, I suppose, was we're pretty much just winging it. So the first one we just lucked out. We had no idea about the market, no idea about the data, no idea about. I just enjoyed renovating homes, So like we bought them in WA before, so that was about 2021 was the first one we purchased here, and that was sub 300,000. So we bought a 4x2 in in the Baldivis area where I live. There was under it was 298,000, I think we paid for it, but it definitely needed a renovation. So renovated that. We actually probably went a bit over the top on that one, put a pool and everything in.
Oh,
I'm
well.
actually a landscaper as well, so I do fly in, fly out now. But in my past, I'm actually a landscaper, so I've done a lot of work externally. I'm quite handy, so like I'm happy to do anything really. And then yeah, we ended up staying in that property for a couple of years. Sold that one, made quite a good. Like that was before. Well, the market had moved a lot since, and we just sort of just fluked it, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
then we found this one, and again we paid under market value for this one at the time. And then yeah, we've done another extensive renovation on this one, focusing on the kitchen, the bathrooms, and just making it cosmetically just a lot better. And the outside, obviously, I do enjoy the outside.
Are you outside right
And
now?
then yeah, so then yeah, I am outside. Yeah, in a beautiful outdoor kitchen that I built. So
Oh, cool.
it's a lovely morning here over here. Anyway, um, yeah, so yeah, and then I guess, and then we sort of debt recycled the equity out of these two. So this was we sort of it got to the point where I was like, I wanted to go down the route of just flipping homes, and that was it. But then the Facebook algorithm threw you into the mix there somewhere, and then I thought, oh, this is a little bit more interesting because obviously, you do focus on creating equity using cosmetic renovations as well. So I really like the idea of purchasing multiple homes and holding them long term. That's our obviously our long term plan. Um, so yeah, so that's how we sort of got onto your course, and then went through it, and then we had already had like pre-existing pre-approval for another loan, but outside of a trust. And it wasn't until we'd done your course that we sort of explored the trust side of things. Had built a really good team as far as a really good broker, really good accountant, and the recommendation with our circumstances was to go through the trust side of things, the trust borrowing. So yeah, so that's how we structured it. Got the first one, and then yeah, that was off market. We fluked that one as well. Sort of, we knew exactly where we wanted to go. Yeah, so back you say, I say fluking it, but it's not really. But um, so that one was off market. There was another. I think there was another offer on it. The first one we purchased.
Uh-huh.
But that got accepted. But their finance fell through. So it was only between two of us in a very hot market over in Queensland. So we were lucky enough that I'd made a really good rapport with the estate agent, and they realised that how keen we were. And yes, they rang me up and said, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yep, done," because I knew it was well under market value, and that one's gone up substantially in the last sort of 10 months.
Yeah.
So we've actually just refinanced that one already. So then we're going to renovate that one. So refinance that one already to then pull more equity out to renovate that one. A cosmetic renovation, I suppose. It did actually have an issue with the bathroom. So it had a shower base that has actually cracked a little bit. So we're sort of like, we have to redo parts of the bathroom. And then, so yeah, so we're going to redo the shower base and vanity and paint it and make it all look nice. And then, yeah, I'm actually going to go during your course, obviously you explain that we can do it interstate, and which is absolutely my plan. But due to the fact I enjoy renovating, I'm actually going to fly over there and be a bit more hands-on with it, because, doing FIFO and 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, it gives me time. Like I'd have 2 weeks off at a time. If I take some annual leave, and then I can have 6 weeks off, which then gives me plenty of time to go over there and project manage it myself and just try and budget, and that also does bring the cost down, within,
Yeah.
yeah, allowing for me to sort of do it, yeah.
Can I
And
can I
the
just
second
ask
one,
can I just ask, Zach, sorry to interrupt, just on the off-market piece, like, I'm just trying to add as much
yeah,
value to our audience. Some people, they think that, it's like really hard to get off market deals and they're like only for buyers agents or whatever. Could you just like really break it down in simple, like layman's terms? Um, like how did you build that rapport with that sales agent? And then like how did you get that off market deal? Because I think some people don't know anything because they're new to property investment. They may
yeah,
not exactly know what off market deal is. May not exactly know how to build rapport. They may not know how you actually receive off-market deals. So could you
yeah,
like just demystify it for me, let's
yeah,
say, assuming I know nothing?
yeah. So yeah, so basically, in the area that we were looking, I rang a lot of real estate agents. So I was on the phone, during your course, you explained, how to go about doing it. And yes, I rang a lot of real estates and just being friendly, and showing our sincerity and that sort of thing. And then that had just happened. I missed out. There was another property through this agent that was on market, and I missed that one. So we did miss quite a few during our trying to buy it.
Yeah.
So basically, made a really good rapport with that real estate. Missed out on a couple, and then there was this one it was actually a deceased estate. So, and the lady that was selling it didn't want to fuss, didn't want everyone going through the house and that sort of stuff. So it just so happened that I was lucky enough to, yeah, she rang me up and said, "We've got this one. It's off market. It wasn't on real estate or anything like that.com."
Mhm.
And yeah, and then that's how the offer sort of process worked.
Right.
It was me and another party, but yeah. I suppose just building that relationship is super important. Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And I also, sorry to backtrack a little bit as well. I just something perked my ears up. You said that this was even before you did the course. I think it was this property that you live in right now. You said
Yeah,
you bought it under market value. Now, once again, I'm just playing the devil's advocate because a lot of people think, oh, like how could it be under market value? Like, why on earth would someone sell a property less than what it's worth. Like, and intuitively, it makes sense. So, of course, you and I both know that under market value deals are very possible, and there's various ways in which to get them. But could you share how you got your one under market value?
Yeah, so this one in particular was the real estate. So in the area in the Baldivis area, I live, there's a number of real estates. This was actually a real estate agent that lived further up, or that generally was up north of Perth. So they didn't really understand the market where we were. It was just one of their associate or a friend, or they'd sold another house for them, and then they had this property that they were also looking to sell. So they didn't really 100% know the market that well. And then yeah, and I'd done robberies. Like this particular part of Baldivis is quite, it's the nicest spot, I suppose. And I'm like, no, this is good. This is the one. We walked like as soon as I walked in, because it's not a standard cookie cutter home either. So it's a little bit. It was an ex display home. It has a lot of really good features and it needed a renovation. So it was, so I can see what the potential was. And yeah, and that's sort of how we sort of got that one.
Got it. Got it. And I also want to ask, of course, you got that Mackay one that you've run us through. I'm not going to give the location away for your second one because
Yeah,
it's a very juicy
yeah,
location and it's not your
yeah,
standard
it is.
Gladstone,
Love that one.
Mackay, Townsville type of
Yeah,
thing. Um,
yeah.
but you're a FIFO worker. You're over in WA. I don't know if like you have a data background, but my question was going to be, did you find it difficult to kind of understand the dozens of factors that we look at? And then, in the course, of course, I'm explaining like coefficients and trends and how to analyze all this stuff. Like, did that come naturally to you, or what was your? And please be honest. Like, what was your approach on that? Because I think there's a lot of people that it's not so much about my course or not, but it's just more they doubt themselves because maybe they don't think they're like good enough or smart enough or intelligent enough to do property investment in a data-driven way. So like what was your thoughts on that?
I'll be honest with you. I'm a heavy diesel mechanic. I have no absolute. I've gone from I was a chef to start, landscaper, heavy diesel mechanic. Absolutely no data background whatsoever. I can add and multiply. That's about it, really. So like spreadsheets and all that sort of stuff didn't really come naturally to me. Um, but it was extremely easy to read. So like once you break it down into each little section, it's really it was fine. There was absolutely no issues with it at all. And you just have to trust the process, I suppose. So trust the data and trust what you've created and how each individual interprets it. It's yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely don't have a data background at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you did
Yeah.
because
So
obviously you're a FIFO
no,
worker right
definitely
now,
not. No.
but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure what you did before that. And
Oh,
like I also want
I
to
understand also.
go ahead, you go.
Yeah, so I understand, like, I am a lot more data driven now since doing your course and reading the numbers, and I completely understand it now. Like in with the CMAs and that sort of stuff, I can do it much better now than what. Yeah, so I picked it up pretty quick, and it's really simple to follow.
Good to hear. I like to hear that. And I also want to try to add some value to people who maybe in like analysis paralysis mode, maybe they're like I don't know, they're just like swimming in data from all sorts of different sources. They're not quite sure how to make sense of it. Um I guess my question is like, how much time did you put into actually using data to select the right suburbs? And what would be your advice to people who are just like overthinking it, going around in circles and spending days just on suburb selection?
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose you just have to just follow it, just trust the process. I suppose I keep saying that, but don't overthink it too much. The way that I interpreted the course, we're narrowing it down to the smallest part of Australia. Even if you get it a little bit wrong, and the chances of getting it wrong is pretty hot, you know, pretty likely that you'll get some sort of data factor wrong. It's never going to be perfect. You bring it down to such a small part or pocket of Australia that is moving. It's a hot market, or whether that's what you're chasing or not. I feel like if you found that area, that's the area that you go for, and it will work. I don't really know how to explain it. So like,
No, I think
does
that's a
that make
really
sense?
good
Yeah.
perspective.
So like, yeah, yeah,
There's like 15,000 suburbs, and it's
that's right.
right.
Yeah,
Let's not tear out our hair to get like the top 2, even if you're like top
Yeah.
10, it's still like, this is still
You
the
still
cream
got
of
it.
the
Yeah.
crop, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So you're still, like you're still in that area. So, and that's where I got to the point where, because it took me a little while, like, because obviously definitely not data based. So it took me a little while to get my head around, the trends and all that sort of stuff, which was once you get it, you're fine. The second property was much quicker, much easier. The first one I did take a little bit, probably 4 weeks maybe. And then we started putting offers in after the course and stuff like that. And then got a lot rejected. So like it did take a little while. But that, that's all learning, like you're learning. The first one is absolutely the hardest. Once you've nailed it, and now looking back now, looking how much that property's grown, we didn't do bad. Not so like it's,
Yeah.
so it's, yeah, it gives you confidence, I suppose. Once you do the first one, you get confidence for the second one, and then it's just going from there.
Got it, got it. And you mentioned you bought in, we'll get to the second property, but I just want to ask one more question before we get there.
Yep.
Both of them are bought on trusts. So I think people are by now pretty well aware that there's a way in which you can preserve your borrowing capacity in a trust if, your property's a positive cash flow. And, your first property, let me just bring up the numbers. It's renting at 650 and you bought it at 515. So that's really healthy yield. And the second property is also the market rent is about like high 400s and you bought it for
Yeah.
398. So that's also very
Mhm.
healthy. Was it like everyone talks about this about trust, which is great, but what was the downsides of buying in a trust? Like, did you ever, you and your partner together, like think, oh, I'm not sure about a trust, or what was it? Was it really complex to buy in a trust? I just want to give like a balanced picture to everyone.
Mm. Yeah, so I suppose it's obviously more complex than borrowing outside of a trust. There's a lot more paperwork, there's a lot more um, that side of it. But I think from the start, we were just like, right, we're doing it in a trust. That's it. We don't, we try and stay on the same. There's no point trying to veer off. Oh, we might do this and it might not work. And it might, once you've selected you're doing it in a trust, you just make it work. There was no second guessing that due to the fact that our long-term goal is what it is. So we need to make sure that it's done properly from the start. So we both have both homes in the one trust. So the chances are that the Mackay house will perform better than the other property. So that will then, because obviously the yield is more in that area. So then that'll do the heavy lifting for that trust. So then once that's positive or neutral, then we sort of can go again. Um, yeah.
Got it, got it. All right, well, let's shift to the second property, which is also in Queensland, but we're not talking like central Queensland or
No, we're
North
not.
Queensland or anything like that. How did you like this one was just on market, right? Like on Domain, on real
Yep.
estate. How
Yep.
did you find it and how did you know it was the one?
Yeah. So this particular area is probably, I would say, on the data side, it's slightly cooler. It's definitely heating up now, but it was on the slightly cooler side. It was a little bit more easy to buy. Um, this one has obviously with the renovations we like doing, it has a lot of renovation potential. It's an older property. It's 50s cottage, I suppose you would call it. Beautiful hardwood floors that, like that old charms, I suppose.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work. Just had a look, found it on real estate, knew the area that we wanted to live in. The block size was really, really important. Where the house is located, it's really far forward. So there is potential at some stage down the track to either extend the property or potentially a granny flat at the back. Um, but I just love the charm of this one. And because it looked rough, it still looks rough from the outside now. And then, yeah, that one was, it was still a little bit competitive. There were still quite a few people that wanted that one. And again, building the relationship with the agent, pretty much put our offer in and was just said, let's see what we can do here. And then, yeah, we were back and forth a little bit. And yeah, it was a good one, that one. I enjoy that. And it's going to be fun to renovate.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go through like so which parts of the house are you gonna renovate? Like what are you gonna do? And of course it's a
Yeah.
sub 400K property. Like how much are you
Yeah.
thinking? Are you gonna put in like 50K and do you envision that making you 150K or like what are the numbers as well?
Yeah. So I suppose I haven't gone through the entire thing on that one yet, but
Sure.
the plan would definitely be to redo the bathroom, just a really, really top quality cosmetic renovation in that one. So it would be, yeah, bathroom, kitchen, polish the floorboards because they are sensational. Paint, and that's especially the exterior. So we'll paint the exterior. And then, so probably, yeah, around that 25 to 30 to 40 on that one. It depends. Like, obviously it depends on the quality that we go with.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, that should definitely bring it up, the 80 to 100 extra, I suppose. The other option down the track is to actually extend the property, which we'll see how that goes. That would be more, but it depends on the market and the area at the time.
Right. Are you doing all this work yourself, like the electrical work and plumbing? I don't. There's probably not much plumbing to do, but
Nah, no. So not the electrical or plumbing. Obviously, that gets licensed out to the correct people, and the waterproofing, all that sort of, and the bathrooms. I'm happy to demo the bathrooms and do that sort of stuff, but I leave it up to the professionals. There's lots I can do, but not. I know my limitations, and tiling shower bases and all that sort of stuff to the quality that they need is not one of them. No, but
sure.
the rest, and I'm more, I help where I can and that sort of stuff, and I'm happy to paint. I can paint a house and all that.
Okay. So, do you like get those trades kind of scheduled in even before you fly out to Queensland?
Yep.
And then what's your like? What I'm just thinking is, what if the trade like bails on you last moment, and then you're like, oh, I booked my flights, I got my time off work, and all this, or what if it like rains? And that's like, I'm just trying to, I'm not trying to be like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
buddy
Oh,
prep,
absolutely.
but I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
how you would approach
No,
it.
I know. Well, I haven't really thought that far ahead yet. Hopefully they don't. We have definitely penciled in with the Mackay one, like the carpets are penciled in, the floorings, they're all internal stuff, so that's all good. Um, they're all penciled in. The bathrooms penciled in with the team there. They're obviously it's hard for them also to give me an exact date as to when, just to because I've booked them in already and it's 2 months away or whatever that we're doing it.
Mhm.
They said it might be a couple of days here or there, but the time frame I'm allowed, even if it shifts a little bit, we'll just make that work.
Got it.
Yeah. And then with the painting, I can paint internally, even if it is raining. So there's lots I can do, even if there's those dates shift. There's a buffer each side to allow for that sort of stuff.
Got it. Got it. And
And it,
then
it would make no difference whether I go over there or the property manager. If the trades don't line up, well then it's sort of either way if I'm there or if I'm not. There's lots I can be doing in the meantime.
do you have like some sort of idea of how much you'd save by being able to do it yourself? Because, like you said, like everything can be done if you outsource it through the property manager. And oftentimes, property managers manage it for free. Sometimes they take like $500 or $1,000. But if you have the skills and you're handy on the tools, like why not do it yourself? Like, how much are you saving, roughly speaking, like by doing stuff yourself as well?
So I think roughly around 15,000, I think I will say. So with the demo of the property, like pulling all the carpets and all that out, demoing. So I'll be demoing the bathroom, pulling all the carpets and the flooring out, painting the inside of the house. So I'll be able to paint the inside and external as well.
Hmm.
So that alone, me painting the property saves about 5 to 6,000 anyway.
Yeah.
And then, demo the bathroom, all that sort of landscape, or roughly tidying up the outside. So doing all the landscape work and all that sort of stuff. I'd say it's around 15,000 that I'll be saving. And then, give or take the flights, and obviously I'll just sleep at the house, but yeah, so it worked out better for me to take the time off work just because I can allowed to have 6 weeks off. So I wouldn't do it if I was a normal 9 to 5 and I could only because taking 6 weeks off is a lot different than
Yeah.
taking 2 weeks. So because I only have to take 2 weeks off and I get 6 weeks off. So,
Yeah.
so like that side of it works out better.
Got
And
it.
I enjoy doing it as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said, like, if you enjoy doing it, there's, like, that sense of satisfaction, right? That, like,
Yeah.
I kinda did this myself, and then I mean, if I was you, I'd kinda get really emotional and never wanna sell that property, so I don't know if for me, it's, like, the right idea or not, but, I if it works for you, it works for you,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing.
And
What's
that's sort of that, like, yeah. No, sorry, you go.
No, no, you go ahead.
Oh, and that's the emotional attachment. It's there, but I'm sort of past. Like, now I look at it. Right, this is a business. This is how it's pretty. We're strict. I'm a lot more strict on the two budgets that I've done for these two properties as opposed to the one I'm living in, our PPOR, which
Mhm.
definitely costs more than what I expected. But so like I've pared it back. So originally, I even asked a question the other day in the community forum about, because originally I was going to redo the entire bathroom, so gut the whole thing and make it really really nice, which was a lot more expensive than now just paring it back, repairing what needs to be done, changing what needs to be changed. And, so keeping it a lot more simple as from an investment side of thing, it's sort of, yeah, it made more sense.
And I think that's really important point, like not to overcapitalize, and that can be determined by understanding what is the demographic of your future buyer or what is the demographic of your prospective tenant. So I know you're not quite ready to renovate that one just yet, but have you done the analysis or has your property manager helped you understand like what kind of folks are going to rent this? I mean, the rent is kind of high 400, so it's pretty affordable. Like, is this kind of, blue collar, mom and dad, couple of kids, or is it like, I don't know, some doctors are going to do it? Or like, do you have an understanding of what your demographic is and what they want in a house?
Yeah, probably to a degree. Like I haven't the second house, I haven't gone that deep into that one just yet because we're focusing on the one that's in Mackay that we're going to be renovating this year. So that one will come most likely next year. But it's again, it's the smaller property, so it's a 2 by 1, like a cottage basically. So it'll be a smaller family. So it'll either be mum and dad with a single, with one child, or like so it's a smaller, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, once we get to that though, I'll definitely speaking to the property manager saying because that's exactly what I've done with the other one. So I spoke to the property manager and said, right, if we do this, this, and this, how's this going to look? Is this going to make it attract, a better, not a better tenant, but another tenant, at a slightly higher rent as well, sort of thing. So and it got that demographic off those and their perspective, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's really
and we'll do
important
the
to
same. Yeah,
reverse engineer that, so you're
yeah,
understanding what they want and then you kind of
mhm,
not build, but renovate to their taste or their
yeah.
quality standards. And speaking of like reverse engineering, what's kind of your goal? I don't know what your time frame is, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Like, you've started property investing now. Of course, you've done
Yeah.
renovations before on your own houses. Um, what's kind of like the financial goal, or maybe there isn't a financial goal, it's more of a lifestyle goal, but what's your North Star?
Yeah, so I suppose for us, the inevitable like I enjoy working as well, so I don't want to have to stop working, but I want to have the choice whether I can work or not. That's the end goal. So, you know, I'm 37 now. We started a little bit later. We have older like it's my daughter's birthday, so actually she's turned 17 today. So
Happy
we've had
birthday to her.
kids, yes, thank you. So we've had kids since we were 20, so that's and setting them up is so important to us. And the end goal is just to have that to free up the time to either have the choice to work or not. That's basically it. And start, yeah. Whether the money, the actual dollar figure is not there. It's not, I don't know what that will look like in 20 years, roughly, but not the exact dollar, but just that freedom and that choice to be able to work or not that's 100% why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's been the goal since the start. Yeah.
I think that's the goal for like probably 90% of property investors. You always get some
Yeah.
who want to like flip a property, make a lot of money and like buy a fancy car. But I think most people, at least in their
Yeah.
30s or 40s,
Yeah.
we just want the flexibility of not having to grind for the rest of your life. Even if you enjoy your work, you want to have the ability to reduce your
Mm,
hours or
yeah.
not work for a while if you don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I think that's a really special thing that property enables for like everyday people. Just maybe last question, or maybe one or two last
Yep.
questions. I think people have a lot of worry about investing in real estate because of, what Trump is doing or what interest rates is happening, what inflation is happening, a recession every day or every week, every year, people are expecting a recession, predicting it. If you go on YouTube, there's like alarmist videos and thumbnails on how the world will, crumble, how we're in the middle of a bubble. I think I've seen that every year for the last 15. Um, I don't know if you see this stuff or you experience this, in the media headlines. If you do, like, how do you block it off? Or maybe you don't block it out. Maybe it affects you a little bit. What's your relationship with all that stuff?
Yeah. So again, I really tried not to. It's all noise. At the end of the day, to me personally, I have a small bubble that I can control. The rest is I have no control of inflation. I have no control over different laws and that sort of stuff that get passed and put in. I focus on what I can control and make that the best it can be. And then and see how it goes from there. And having like obviously having buffers in place as well is a massive part of it. Um, don't stretch yourself too far that you're gonna end up if something does happen and it goes backwards, that you got to pop and it's gonna end in bad. But yeah, I try and block it out best I can. Don't look too much into it. It's always there. And at the end of the day, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not real now anymore, especially with like social media and that sort of stuff. It's all, you hear one thing from one person and the exact opposite from another person. It is hard. It is very hard. And it's the way the world is at the moment. And unfortunately, it's an unfortunate thing, but set your goals straight and just, yeah, put blinkers on basically within reason. Yeah.
I think
Because otherwise
that's
you'll just stop. You won't move forward. You'll procrastinate too long and you'll overthink it. You just have to keep moving forwards. That's it.
I think that's great advice. I think that single piece of advice can, if there are people watching or listening, if they just follow that one piece of advice, like they'll get really far. And those who
Yeah.
don't, will kind of regret hearing you say that right now. And if they take no action in the next year or 2 years, that same property they could have bought 1 or 2 years ago would be like 100, 200K extra. So I think that's fantastic guidance from you. And last question for me, maybe it's a little bit of a cheeky one. But for folks kind of in your similar situation, where, maybe with your background, with, that kind of work situation, who are kind of 50-50 on the fence of doing a course like mine. Doesn't have to be my course, just like getting educated in a formal, structured way, data driven with mentoring. But, they're just on the fence. What would you say to them? What would be your guidance or advice to them?
Yeah, so I suppose you just have to do it. And I understand that it can be 50-50, but once you make that decision and then the data speaks for itself, the course speaks for itself, it makes, it's a good thing. Don't procrastinate about it. Just do it. Like, I know it's just do something, there's no point doing nothing and sitting idle and thinking, "Oh, I might do this one, and whichever course you do." But having that guidance and that mentorship is super important because it does give you confidence to make the moves and trust the process and that it's going to work. And in the long run, the money you pay for the course is absolutely relevant because you've got that, you've got those skills that are going to last a lifetime there, and you've got that mentorship and the guidance that you need to keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. I don't think anyone ever regretted in the history of humanity, getting
No.
educated in general, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. And it's so important now, particularly now, you're like with the cost of living and that sort of stuff that this course and this what I've learned, I'm teaching my kids the same thing. Like my daughter's now was 17. She's coming into that stage of her life where I wish I had started this when I was 20, not 35. So like she's got time. So she's really involved. Well, both of our kids are really involved in what we're doing with the properties and in the investment side of things and how we're structuring it. And I think it's super important that they learn that from a young age how to, because it's going to get harder. Properties are going up, prices are going up, wages are, they're going up slowly, but nowhere near as fast as what they should be. So giving them advice and passing the knowledge on to them to be able to make the right decisions from a young age is super important because it's something that doesn't get taught in schools. Like we never learned anything like, how like the stuff that we're learning now. And yeah, I just think it's super important that pass the knowledge on.
yeah, yeah, it's not getting any easier, that's for sure.
No,
So
it's yeah, yeah,
if we can give a leg up to our kids, whether it's,
yeah,
financially, but I think more than just financially, it's actually teaching them how to think in financial literacy and how to invest properly. I think that's the real gift that we can give them as opposed to just an inheritance or like, here's a
yeah.
property.
Well, yeah, and that's what like they both work for the money. We will not give them just handouts and stuff like. Well, I was never given handouts as sort of thing. So like, it's important to me that they learn. We'll help them as they go along if they need it, but not they're not just going to get here's. Does that make sense? Like they have to work. They still have to work for it because it's important to do that as well. Teaches them resilience and yeah,
It's like you said before, you get sense of satisfaction out of doing the renovation, like, you're using your own hands, and I think that's the same with kids and the next generation. They'll be happy if they've worked hard to achieve, whatever level of wealth that they
absolutely.
want to achieve. If they just get handed to 'em, then it's just like it's a silver on a silver platter. It's just that doesn't actually bring much happiness. Then they feel
No.
entitled, and they have this whole
Yeah.
sense of like, I want more, then it doesn't end, and they don't have the skill set to achieve it. So hopefully there are like loads of dads listening and watching right now,
Mm.
kind of imbibing and resonating with what you're saying, and hopefully also following the same thing. Um, Zach, I think we'll probably finish it up, but before we do, is there any questions that I should have asked you that I didn't, or like anything you want to say? Any last pieces of advice for anyone who's watching or listening?
No, I feel like we covered it really well. So like, we've covered a lot of the stuff that we're doing, a lot of stuff that we're doing in the future. Yeah, and just at the end of the day, just keep moving forwards. You'll go backwards a little bit, but as long as you don't go, yeah, that makes sense to you. So
Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and congratulations again. Two properties in a year, both really affordable, high yields, one of them off market, both with renovation potential, one with granny flat potential as well. And I think all of this stuff is great, but you've also set up your foundation really well in terms of the trust structure, your long-term strategy. So you're not just going to be capped out, after one or two, you're going to keep carry on buying. And I think, that's really important as well. Sometimes you have to pass the ball backwards before you then punt it forward. And, that's akin to just pausing and building a solid strategy so that you have the right buffers, the right lending strategy, the right portfolio strategy. Everything is clear. You're not just going into it blind. And that's really what strikes me. Even though you're really good renovation, it's not like, these properties are just not another project for you. They've actually got their place in a long-term portfolio that's going to
yeah.
allow you to get some freedom back. So I'm really happy for you, and yeah, looking forward to what comes in the coming year. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for watching and listening. Hopefully, Zach and myself, we brought you a lot of value. We're really trying to inspire you and educate you. Inspiration is great, but it just leads to motivation and then nothing. That's why you need the education to go with it. But education by itself is just information. It doesn't propel you forward. You need the both of those things. And on my YouTube playlist client results, there's more than 200 of these client interviews with brilliant people like Zach. And I always say this, but I honestly don't care if you do my course or not. But watch them because you'll be inspired and educated by all of those people, and they'll impel you to take the next step. And like Zach said, just take the next step. Like just do something because you won't regret it if you've done it in a calculated way. Thank you for being with me. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it right now. And once again, Zach, thank you so much.